Welcome to the What's Lacking podcast. It's your host, Larry Atencia. With me today is Carli Hightower. How old are you and where are you from, Carli?
Hi, everybody. So I am 26 and I am born and raised in Philadelphia.
And what do you do for a living?
So I work in finance for a CPG company, well, Campbell Soup Company. I've been there for 4 years. I like it. It's like challenging, but that's what I like.
Sounds fancy. What does CPG stand for?
Consumer packaged goods. So like basically anybody that supplies like a grocery store or like a Target or Walmart, all of those are like consumer packaged good companies. So specifically, we do food only, but your laundry detergents, cleaning supplies, all that. It's like all up in the CPG umbrella.
Okay, yeah, and yeah. You said you like it, so that's fun. It sounds like it's a good salary as well, working in finance. Um, are you married with children?
I am not. Um, I have no children, and I'm not married yet. I will
Yeah.
be.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so yeah, that was my next question. Is that something that you are looking forward to in the future, or considering you're 26, something that you're not necessarily interested in?
Definitely something I'm interested in the near future. You know, time's ticking. Um, so yes, uh, something I'm trying to, explore.
Okay. And you're saying time's ticking, so what's the time frame for you, or is that something that you're not willing to share?
Well, well, so I would also like to have kids. So if I think about, the clock ticking and all that, uh, I don't know if it's good to have like a set time frame on it because I feel like it never goes planned how you think. But I think 30 is like
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
like
And this is a good podcast to have right after the last one that I uploaded to YouTube. So if anyone's listening, just the contrast between this answer and our previous guest answers would be a good way to compare where you know this guest and the last one was. Transitioning a bit, what was your relationship like with your parents growing up?
Well, so I grew up with a single mother, and so my parents got divorced very, very young. Um, so I think I, take on a lot of her traits of like being an independent woman. We're pretty close, tell her everything pretty much, but me and my dad have had a challenging relationship. Um, he's going through alcohol addiction most of my life, so um, it's been a rough, time, but still communicate. Don't want to regret anything when it's too late. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. So you feel that even though there's been some issues and struggles with your dad, that you're still willing to engage and embrace him in a loving manner.
Yeah, even though it's tough, I kind of do it with like a arm's length distance. Like I already know like what to expect kind of thing, and you can try to help someone, but they want to, they have to want help for themselves. But he's been in and out of the hospital, so I'm there. Like I visit, and if he needs something, I'll be there. But yeah, it's kind of like it's hard to like recover from all the things from like childhood, and I've tried to discuss them, but it's kind of challenging with someone who is battling addiction. So
Yeah. It's a very, very mature stance to take. So I
mhm.
commend you for that. And another note of the podcast is that you are a previous guest's sister, Drew Hightowers. So shout out to him. And listeners, if you want to go and listen to that episode as well, it will be an interesting contrast as well. What was your experience like in the educational system?
So I grew up in Philly public schools. So I like to say gave me tough skin. um, I I mean, so I feel like Philly public schools are definitely more like advanced now in terms of like extracurriculars and things like that. There was always like challenges with like budget cuts and stuff like that, but I've always been like involved in sports. Like I always took advantage of like academic programs like National Honor Society or like organizations and stuff like that. I've always been like a goody two shoes, like, and I was like, oh, like I just want my, like when you go to apply for colleges, I want to do everything. Sometimes I did too much. Like I played 5 sports in high school and like
Wow.
National Honor Society, Black Success Academy, like I don't know, whatever. So I was it, but I was just always busy. I
Okay,
still
yeah.
am.
I knew you played soccer because we played in a
Oh
soccer
yeah.
team together, I think 2 years ago. So I knew that, but I didn't know you did other sports. So what were the other sports that you played in high school?
Okay. Some better than others, but soccer, as we know, basketball, softball, swimming, and track. So I played 5 because like I switched like my last 2 years. I think my senior year I switched sports in 2 of the seasons. So yeah, that was I think my senior year was like my best year with like swimming, track, and soccer. I think those I should have done those all along, but at least I tried.
That's that's impressive. Plus, also doing all the other organizations and maintaining a high GPA, I'm assuming. So very
Mhm.
impressive of you as a high school student. Yeah, most people that I knew and including myself would not have handled that very well. Just yeah, impressive of you.
Yeah,
What are your political views?
I do not like to have political views.
Sure.
So I just like okay, so I'm going like I'm one of those people like I'm gonna vote because my ancestors fought for the right for me to do that. So I'm like I value that, but it just seems like really just like a bunch of drama and like unnecessary division. I mean, I get, the structure of it, but I feel like recently it's been going in like the wrong direction where people are using that division like to get at each other. So I don't know. I think that just kind of takes over the whole thing. But I try to stay like aware and educated, especially when like trying to vote and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I try to stray away from political topics.
So when you do vote and when you do your research, which of the two parties do you lean toward? If I could ask you that.
Recently, it's been like Democratic candidates. It's kind of like choosing the lesser of two evils, I'd say. I feel like I would choose like an independent category if I knew more about like those candidates, but I feel like during the election, it's like you don't really, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I don't do the best research, but choosing like the two, yeah, it leans more Democratic, I feel like.
Yeah, and
But
it would seem, especially in contested national elections, that voting for independent parties is like a wasted vote.
yeah, true, that's true.
Especially in battleground states where there's a few high leverage states where the parties are really contesting to see who could win, and it's actually in question who the party that is going to win. And so because like in the South or California, New York, and other states, we know that Democrats or Republicans are going to win. So in those battleground states, it seems that one's vote does have a little bit more weight because it actually can tip the scales of balance in between the two. Are you religious?
Yes, but the reason why, so I hesitate saying that because I don't want to confuse religion and rules with like faith, relationship, and like a way of life. So yes, I am, but not like I feel like some people just get that confused, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was very well said. Do you care to elaborate?
Yeah, so I am Christian, but there's like a lot of, denominations, sects, things like that. But I feel like people kind of get like so there's like this I feel like um I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, like this thought around church, like judgy and things like that. But a lot of people focus on like the rules of like, oh, I have to do this, or like there's restrictions on my life. But if you like peel back all of that stuff, it's your relationship with God. Like, are you building a relationship? Do you have faith? Are you living a life that is like walking in faith? Which people get that confused, and like understanding the core concept of Christianity is that like there is a gift of grace that is available to everybody, but some people think that they have to do XYZ to receive that gift when it's already available. It's up to you to decide, are you going to accept that gift? Like it's up for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, like what your background is, whatever. It's your choice. Um, and it's like the core of it, and just like accepting, you know, Jesus as your savior. So yeah, I think that's, very, I try to like echo that point so much because I feel like a lot of people have church hurt and like past experiences, or like they don't want to even learn about it because they're like, oh, like I can't do this or I can't do that. I mean, because of the faith, that's why live a certain lifestyle, but it's not like, oh, you've done something bad, like I'm never gonna, or like some people say, like if I go to church, the church is gonna set on fire or something like that. But you
Yeah.
know, yeah, so it's available to everybody.
Yeah. And did you grow up religious, or is this something that you've discovered recently in your life?
So kind of both. So I grew up in a Presbyterian church, and I feel like, so I was in like the, children's church and everything. Throughout those years, like it was more so like, okay, church on a Sunday, and you go throughout your life the rest of the week. But more so, I learned recently that it's not just church on Sunday. Like you have to carry this attitude, your posture throughout the week. Like what are you doing like throughout the week that, reflects God. So I feel like both. Like I grew up in church, but it wasn't until like more recently, maybe like 3 years ago, I'd say, where I learned like the lifestyle aspect of it.
Okay. So you said Presbyterian, and then um, today you are at a non-denominational
Yeah.
Christian church. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I go to the Block Church. Shout out.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, oh, so they just post up on the block and preach Jesus'
So
message, or
that's funny.
that was a
No,
joke. Hopefully you
but
were
I mean,
hopefully you weren't offended by the joke.
no,
Sorry.
I wasn't. It's funny. It's their mission is to revive every block, and so they have like different locations throughout the city. So like there's a Northeast location, a Port Richmond location, Center City location. So it's trying to like spread throughout the city, and I like exploring other opportunities also online. So I think it kind of like, yeah, it's like a funny name. I feel like if you think about like historical like church names, but if you like learn like the mission of the church, it makes sense.
Okay. I'll make sure to Google it. Are you doing anything towards self-improvement?
Always, I can never sit down. So
Well, it,
so
it,
I'm
it does sound like that, that is something that you've just focused on in terms of who you are as a person, considering all of the extracurricular activities that you were doing already in high school. So yeah, tell us more.
yeah, like everything like that high school, like where I kept myself busy, carried through college, carried through adulthood. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just something I like to do, keep myself busy, but so I work full time, and I'm also in school right now getting my MBA at LaSalle. So like that's like okay, that takes up a lot of my time. I also try to stay healthy, fit. I was a cycling instructor, and no longer because like school just like too much to handle. Like things ebb and flow. Like I was doing like training for the Broad Street Run. I produce at my church every other Sunday, so those are long days. I'm just always doing something, and then when something else falls off my plate, I'm like, what do I do with my time now? So I
Yeah.
find something else to do. I don't know. I guess it's just like, yeah, like if you think of like high school, I just, even in elementary school, like
Wow.
I just, I don't know, I just gravitate towards being busy.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you said you produce for your church, what does that mean?
Or I guess like I'm a producer. So I at my church, we have a bunch of teams. And so I'm on the production team. And so before I did like, so we don't have a facility, and I'm in the Northeast location. We don't have a church facility. So we basically are in venues and we go in the morning, 6:30 a.m., go set up the church, have two
Oh,
services, and then we tear everything down that same day. So I serve on that team, so we do like lights, screen, sound, all that stuff. So I guess you could say like I worked my way up to being a producer. So I basically just oversee all of like audio, lights, sound, help like leading the team that does that. And I've done that before, like serving lights or the screens. Not so good in audio, still trying to like
okay.
sharpen my skills there, but you just basically like support the team, like leading everything. And we work closely with like the worship team also. So yeah, we're there bright and early, there most of the day after church. Naps are it. But yeah.
This reminds me of like those tent revival Christian denominations that was set up in, I tend to think of it as like a Southern phenomenon. But I'm guessing the setup is a little bit more complicated than just tents, correct?
For sure. Yeah, I mean the goal is for us to get a location. We just bought our Port Richmond location, so we own that building. But striving to have a facility, but yes, it's more intense than just a tent.
Right. Yeah. Well, ultimately, what matters is the spirit of community and the message. But yes, ultimately,
Yeah,
you also to get a place and
yeah,
be have a home.
yeah. You wanna have an atmosphere where people can come in the church from all other like walks of life. Like you want them to feel comfortable. Like even with just like the people, sometimes it could be overwhelming, like some churches, but you want to feel seen and
Mm.
also just comfortable in the atmosphere. So we try to like create that for everyone, no matter where they're coming from.
Any big regrets in life so far?
Which one is the question? Just uh, I think
You could speak about all of them if you want. We have time.
I think um the first thing that comes to mind is not just a regret, but it's also like I regret it, but then I don't. And the reason why I say that is so when I first started college, I went to IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and I studied interior design. I was trying to double major in interior design and actuarial science. Completely different things, but that's just how complicated I am. So I went there, and this is like in the middle of PA. So like I think the school wants diversity. So they want to reach out to Philly and bring kids over. So I had a full ride. I just had to pay for room and board there, and I was in honors college. I was just very miserable for some reason. Like I don't know, because I was in honors college. And it wasn't very diverse. And I grew up around that, like being in Philly public schools, like it was diverse. And if it's not, I don't feel comfortable in because my background, I'm mixed. So I need that around me. And I had like one friend that I went to elementary and high school with that was there, and I met some people. But I don't know, it was just like I was just like miserable. So like and I wanted to, double major, and I was on the path to do that. But I think I tend to do this a lot. I sporadically made a decision to transfer to Temple University, and I don't know where that thought came from because I never even applied for them, like, or to them when I was graduating high school. But I transferred to Temple, and I went to the Fox School of Business to do actuarial science. There, I did not have full ride. I did not. So basically, I signed myself up for that, right? But the reason why I say it's a regret and not a regret is because I wouldn't have the job that I have today if I didn't transfer, because going to like a school in the middle of nowhere, yeah, I mean, knowing me, I probably would have found a way
Yeah.
to, do something successful. But, I feel like there's a lot more opportunities. And even though I didn't do actuarial science, which I feel like it's a complex, it's like modeling and like basically if you want an easy term, it's insurance math. Modeling like probabilities and things like that. Like it was tough. I didn't end up doing it, but I feel like that's just like a part of my story and like how I ended up in finance kind of in a way.
Yeah.
So like it's a regret, but not a regret. I'm just thinking of I think the debt part is
Yeah,
a
but
regret. But
although
yeah, other than
uh, although Biden was supposed to forgive a lot of the college student debt for a lot of people, but I think that's hit a snag and it's no longer happening. I don't really pay
it wouldn't.
attention to political news, but that's kind of what I've been hearing.
Oh, I pay attention to that part, but
Like I'm
it,
not into politics as long as it affects me. I mean, but that's usually how it
exactly.
works, right? Like we're self-interested.
I mean,
Uh,
that wouldn't. I don't have any federal loans, so it wouldn't. All of my loans are, you know, so it wouldn't impact me. I was like, the slight chance that it would. I was paying attention to
yeah.
it. So yeah, sadly, it doesn't apply to me.
Well, you have it sounds like you have a good enough job where, you can make it work. Although ideally
Well,
you wouldn't, you would be able to keep all of the income that you're receiving. But you're happy,
when
you
you
have a good job and Temple offered you the education to be able to then, have this particular job.
yeah, that's true. But when you like add up like mortgage, like student loans, your car payment, you know,
Yeah.
no matter how much money you have,
You always want a little bit more.
yeah, you just want to be comfortable. I think for me too, and I don't know if this like getting a little deep, but like growing up, like I feel like just financially, like growing up with a single parent household, like you want to cling to your money, you know? So
Yeah,
you want to be comfortable. So I think that's like rooted in that too. But what can you say?
that's
You
true.
gotta,
Yeah.
you can't live without spending money, I guess.
Yeah. I was pretty profligate coming up until I hit my mid 30s and got with Paula and we had a kid and now we have a mortgage. So I'm uh very attuned to trying to save money, trying to be smart about where I spend and just
Mhm.
finding deals all the time. So I've had a complete 180 in terms of expenditure and just my relationship to money.
I'm all about that, especially because I'm in finance, you know,
Yeah.
always looking at like, stocks or like certain savings accounts, all that stuff. So I'm all about that.
Any other regret you'd care to share, or do you want to move on? I'm only bringing it up again because you said it. There were many. So
I mean, there's many, but I feel like it's categorized in like my like anxious like anxiety mindset. I feel like the way that I approach a lot of things, like I overthink like to the 10th degree. I'm like very critical of myself. Like I think it just like in general, like how I go about situations or how I've handled things or like things I thought about myself. I feel like those are all like regrets because like if you don't like why I wouldn't treat my friend like how I would treat myself, you know? So it's like um just like a renewal of the mind. It's always like a work in progress, but I feel like there's a lot of things that I stressed over that I didn't need to.
yeah,
Like I think I found a gray hair like recently, like probably because of all those things. But yeah, I think in general, like I mean, technically, like you have to go through those things to learn. So not necessarily a regret, but just hate the fact that you had to go through some of those things.
yeah, I agree. And the last three questions, the what's lacking questions. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is so I feel like I've wanted to get into reading a lot more, but one book that always stands out to me is All About Love by Bell Hooks. Love that. It's not that it's like this super like romantic,
Mhm.
book. It's just talking about like love, like kind of like defining love and talking about like all the stages like family, friends, like
Mhm.
relationships. And like one thing that I usually don't remember a lot. Like if I watch a movie or read a book, I don't remember a lot of things. But there's one thing in this book that I remember, and it talked about like death and how like we all fear dying because, or not all, but majority of us fear dying because we feel like we may not have lived the life we wanted.
Mhm.
And when I lived that, I'm like, wow, like how you're like, oh, live life to the fullest and stuff like that. And it's like just getting to a state where you're like not like okay with death, but like you don't know how life is gonna, you know, what's gonna happen. So like if you're just living life where you're okay, you're just content. And that was just like, wow. I don't know, maybe that's why I love the book so much,
Yeah.
but every day trying to like just like what is the life that you want to live? Like don't wait until later. Like you never know when you're gonna be ready. I feel like you're never ready for anything. Just live life and you never know how long you'll be here. So that is one thing that I could always, you know, stays top of mind.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of personal enlightenment. Just accepting and being at ease and at peace with the prospect of death, and that's what we strive for in turn when we're looking for that sense of self realization and self understanding. And I like that book too. I've read it and I've given it to young young people before just because I think it's a powerful message about love
Hmm.
in all its dimensions. What's your
Yeah.
favorite movie?
My favorite movie is, I'd say I have like a top three, but my favorite is Apocalypto.
Okay.
It's very, I don't know if that movie doesn't really define me, but I don't know why. I just
Hmm.
like, have you seen it?
Yeah, but
It's,
it's an interesting way to think of self definition when talking about apocalypto, right? Because it's about
it's a
killing,
native,
yeah, killing
yeah,
people and
yeah. I think,
sacrifices and yeah,
yeah, like the tribes and being like rated. I think I just like I watch it like like I think multiple times a year. It's like one of those movies I can watch over and over. I think I just have like Jaguar Paul, like the main character, like
yeah,
I don't know, it's just like he's just like on it. Like I'm just
yeah,
like inspired by him. He's like, I'm gonna do what I need to do for my family. But like what he went through,
yeah.
it's like, wow, he was never but he was like he went through everything but didn't show fear, you know? I don't know. Maybe it's like my like connection to like the main character, but I just like love it. I usually don't like action movies or like anything that has like gruesome stuff in it, but for some reason that movie is like
Yeah. So
my
maybe
movie.
you relate to the spirit of by any means achieving one's goals and protecting one's family or loved ones. What are the other
Yeah.
two movies that you really enjoy as well? You said you had three.
So yeah, so I'd say the second one would be Great Gatsby because as I mentioned, I went to school for interior design. So I feel like watching that movie was like it like inspired me because I was actually toured the mansions where they filmed like the first movie or was it the first or the second one? But I actually toured the mansions where they filmed those because I love interior design and all that stuff. So I feel like it's just like inspiring to me in that way. It's just like a lighthearted, like, I mean, it's a love story, really, but
Yeah.
I was like attracted to like the design elements of it.
So you
So that
like
would
the
be this.
remake or the original one?
I never saw the original, but
And have
so
you read the book?
no, I didn't read the book.
Okay.
If there's a movie and a book, I'm gonna choose the movie all the time.
Like the majority of Americans.
Yeah. I mean, I would go back and read it because it's a love story and I like it.
It's a
But yeah.
classic. I mean, most high schools make you read that book. It's in
Hmm.
most high school curriculums.
Maybe one day. Maybe not now that I
Yeah,
already watched
required
it.
reading. But go ahead. Yeah. So the Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
That's my second. And then my third, I feel like it's always might change, but right now it's Freedom Writers. It's another movie that I can watch over and over again. It's just like a heartfelt, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but like,
I've seen
kids
it.
in
Yeah.
the hood trying to like
Mhm.
excel, this teacher getting like this relationship with these kids. I don't know, just something about the movie. It's just like, it's like a heartwarming movie that another one that I could watch over and over.
Okay. And then favorite album.
Favorite album. I feel like I could have a top three here too, but
Give me your top three. It's funny how you don't have top three books. No one ever has more than just one book.
because like look at
But
the society we're living in.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, go ahead. So tell me your top three albums.
Okay, so I am a day one weekend fan. So I think my favorite album is the trilogy. Like I would listen to that album like a depressed teenager on the bus on my way to
Mhm.
school every day. So I would have to say the trilogy is my number one. Um, and then Take Care by Drake would be my second because all of those are hits. And some of those songs are
I say that again. Sorry.
some of those songs I believe are written by The Weeknd as well. I know
Yeah,
Drake took some of The Weeknd songs, so like maybe that's like why, but I feel like every single song on that album is a bop, and
I love Take Care. Take Care
it's
is
amazing.
yeah. The Ride
Hmm.
is like yeah one of those songs that just transports me back to a very particular moment in my life, and I just feel like that was the soundtrack of my life. Writing down yeah Oakland back from the club to the home.
Memories.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, isn't it crazy how music like transports you like to those like I don't know. I just like I have Spotify, so like at the end of the year it gives you like all your like, how much music did you listen to, how many artists, and like I'm always like trying to compare like, oh, how much music did you listen to? I'm always like the number one, like I listen to the most music with all my friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, okay, he's crazy, but he's a musical genius. Kanye, okay? He's a musical genius. So I couldn't pick, I don't know if I could pick an album, but like I've been listening to a lot of his songs lately. I don't know which album because like I like the new stuff, like Donda, I like that,
Yeah.
but his old stuff.
My
But did you
Dark
see
Twisted Fantasy is my all time favorite. So
that is the good. See, like I can't choose. Is that and then they have what is the one with the bear? The first one with the bear on it?
late registration.
That's it. See,
Yeah, I love
I
Kanye.
don't.
Yeah, Kanye, Drake, Joe Button, Nas. Those I feel like are
Hmm,
the four that I could just couldn't have
yeah,
on repeat.
I just I don't know. I feel like I'm like one of those people like when music comes out, I gotta let it marinate a little bit. I can't
Yeah,
listen to it when it first comes out. So I feel like now I'm just getting on the Kanye wave. Like he's crazy. Like whatever he's doing, walking around barefoot. Like I try to dismiss that because he's really a genius. Maybe that's why he's going crazy because all
yeah,
geniuses kind of go crazy, right? Or like artists and stuff. But like all of his music is just like wow.
yeah.
So I can't pick an album. I'll just say Kanye for that.
Right. Okay. So it's the weekend, the first mixtapes, Take Care by Drake, and then
Hmm.
just Kanye's overs. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
not bad choices at all.
yeah. I just love music. So yeah.
All right. Well, this was great. Thank you for joining the What's Liking podcast, and we will continue to talk. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Bye.